morning, everybody. We are here, episode 27. I don't know how we're on episode 27, but I have my very good friend, MaryLynne Andreula, here from Connect One Bank. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fabulous.
Yeah, other than your computer putting it through the window.
Well, those
Looking
days
lovely
like
as looking lovely as always. Thank you for taking the time on a Monday morning. I know you are super, super busy, especially during this season. Um, to the audience, MaryLynne and I have now known each other for probably close to 6 or 7 years, going on probably 6 or 7 years. And Uncle Gary will appreciate this comment. We've had our fair share of really awesome times, really awesome lunches. Very knowledgeable. One of the main reasons that I wanted to have you on today um, was because you have this longevity, I guess, in an industry. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying it in a way that you bring so much information and so much skill and talent, both to the networking side as well as what you do in the banking industry. And it's one of the main reasons that, I've told you this face to face, but it's one of the main reasons why in the last 3 years, DSM has been able to really grow and do well in frankly, a world that's been crazy. So, welcome today, episode 27, MaryLynne. Thanks for coming on. To get the audience started, how'd you kick off in the banking industry?
that was a long time ago. That was over 40 years ago.
Oh, don't give away all your secrets here.
So, back then, being working in a bank, that was something you did while you went to college. So that was how I started in banking. And it wasn't necessarily a career choice at that time. It was just, a means to an end. But I just kind of felt good at it. I just had it was just something I did well. And while going to school, I just incidentally realized, if you're going to work in a bank, you want to be the manager, you want to be the boss.
Yeah.
So I just went for that, while going to school. And I just, wanted to be a manager. And that's what I worked towards. And, just differentiate yourself from the crowd and move up. And that's what I did. And then after becoming a manager, then it's, well, maybe I want to learn more. Maybe I want to go into the back office. Maybe I want to learn about, lending or, marketing and then that evolved into working with attorneys. And that's how my career evolved to what I really do now is working, with professional services and the ambassadors.
What From where you started, and obviously it was, I would assume the banking industry was very different back when you started. Um, and this is just a question because of the world we live in now, where there's sort of no boundaries. Was it, as a woman, was it tougher to break in? Was it like I know when I started in advertising, like in the early 2000s, there were still remnants of like the Mad Men era, and there were women sort of working their way into more senior roles, but it was still, I could still remember, the first agency that I worked for in 2000. I was like, there's a lot of dudes around. So what was it a lot different when you started? Like, what's the biggest trend and difference from when you started till today?
Oddly enough, that's the things that existed then still exist today in some banks. Having worked in big banks, large national banks, worldwide banks, and small regional banks. That exists. The same thing that existed 40 years ago still exists. There are old boy clubs banks that were then, and they're still here now. Connect One, where I am now, is not that kind of bank. We're very progressive. We have a lot of women. Our president's a woman,
Yeah, I
which
was
is
going to say with
the
Liz.
coolest thing. She's a young woman. She's very progressive. She's forward thinking. People first. She's very cool. And we have a lot of women in powerful positions in our bank, and that comes from the top. Our CEO is, he doesn't have any issue with women in positions like that. But there's still banks that do it the same way it was going on 40 years ago. So is there a big change? I don't know if there's that big of a change in banking. Some banks are still like that, small regional banks. Now, you know, there are changes because there's just changes in the world altogether. But yeah, I mean, there's still men in, there's still banks that all men run the high positions. There's still banks like that, and when I see young women in the industry, I would steer them clear from that, knowing what I know now. And I love to see women come to Connect One because I know that it's a great place to build a career. So that being said, yeah, I've seen a lot, and I've definitely struggled through some of it from time to time in my career, but I really don't have, I never jumped around a lot. I've spent many years at every company I was with to, find my way through them and learned a lot. And I love to mentor people now and tell them, this is great, do this, try that, so that's the great part of experience.
One of the things that one of the main reasons that I wanted to have you on, other than the fact that like I absolutely adore you and the lunches we have with Gary and Chaz,
Thank you.
so much fun. But like one of the things that really stands out to me is the fortitude that you have with regards to how you handle your craft. So I would attribute, I literally, and I'm saying this not like on here now, I would say this, that I would attribute everything from 2019 on when we made the switch to Connect One and all of the things that you've helped me navigate, both me and DSM navigate through that time. You have this knack and a sort of fortitude of, and I don't know, like maybe you attribute it to your Midwest roots. Um, there's not, and the reason why I love you is there's not a brick wall that you see and you're like, all right, we're not going to make a left or a right here. We're going to find a way through, and that's it. And that's how we do it. And we'll figure it out. We might not have the answer today or tomorrow, but we're going to figure it out. Where did that attribute come from? And like, how do you cultivate it? And then moving forward with regards to what you just said about mentoring, because that is a huge role that you play now to a lot of the folks at the bank and a lot of the teams and your position in general as the head of the the ambassador program. What Where did that come from? Because I don't see it in everybody. To me, it's either you can cultivate it as a business person, but it's got to be like innate in you. You either have it or you don't.
I would say that's part of being in a sales culture, and I from early on I was always developed in a sales culture where there were a time back in the 80s where I sold annuities. So being in a sales culture, I think you always learn to never say no to the client, always say yes, and hope now being at Connect One, I can truly say yes because if we don't have something, we're willing to get it for the client. And even when you say yes and you find out we don't have that, we have something else that can accommodate the client. It's very rare that you have a flat out no for somebody, that you can't help them with something. And if we don't have it, I'm going to find it elsewhere for that client. Somebody comes to me and says, I want to put money away for my grandchild. I'm going to research that, which I do, and find out all the options for that client, what we have here and what's available on the street for them. I'm going to give them all their options. Doesn't mean it's only with me. It can be anywhere. Mm-hmm. So when you say yes, it doesn't just mean you're saying yes, that's going to be with the company you're with. It's yes, it exists, and let's figure it out where it can be done. It's not always, just like you with DSM. It's not always going to be with DSM, but you're going to help your client because they're your client, they're your friend, they're your person, they're your partner. You've been with them. You want to help them. So you just want to do the right thing for everybody. And if you do the right thing today and it's not with you, it's going to be with you the next time because you're their partner.
Yep. Wow. So so, wow, you're like one step ahead of me today. So segueing into the next part of it with regards to the relationship, because that's really how we met and how we've sort of fostered our relationship to the point where it's not simply business. It's like, all right, we get together for lunch. We're able to laugh. We're able to talk about families. We're able to see each other at the event you guys had at Saddle River Inn. It was more of like a family thing. There was tons of people there, but you know, Samantha was there and Dean and his wife. It was just a great time. How does that? Because I think this is so important, and it's one of the reasons why I have like the utmost respect for you and for Gary and for Chaz. It's kind of like all that's in that same fabric. That relational part of it, while it plays well with the business side of it, that relational part is what I think sets certain people apart. And that is a true homage to you in like how you do things. It's not about the business all the time. It's about checking in. It's about seeing what you can do. It's about seeing how you can help. It's about putting um, all of the cards out on the table. And what you just said, it might not be with me this time, but if you do right by somebody, it might be something down the road, or they might put you in touch with somebody that could be the next big thing in your career. So how has that played out for you over the course of your career, and and how it's gotten you to where you are today?
Well, I always feel like anybody that you've ever developed that relationship with, the client that you have forged that personal relationship with, the client you let your hair down in front of, the client that maybe you had a bad day and you shared that with that client, or maybe you got a little silly with that client, or whatever. The client you got a personal relationship with, that's the client who's really going to trust you, because you shared yourself and they're being vulnerable with you. You know their finances, you know their business, you know their family. And if they don't know anything about you, it's not an equal trust situation. So sometimes when you get to know a person on that level, they're willing to give you their friends, their family, their brother, that they trust you. Then you have that personal relationship. If you don't know somebody, how many children somebody has, or what their children's names are, or what their wife's name is, you really don't have a relationship with them. And how can you expect that person to trust you with a referral? Anybody could say, "Oh, do you have any referrals for me?" But if you don't have a relationship with them, I mean, everybody asks for referrals, everyone, but you really have to develop a trust with that person for them to give you their person, it's like saying their doctor. Well, why do I trust your doctor? What makes me trust that doctor? Just because you go there, like, well, what happened? And they'll tell you a story about what happened with that doctor. That's what makes things come to life, come to fruition. It's not just, anybody can read something on Facebook. It has to have a story to it, and it has to be real.
Well, it's something I didn't even think of that you just said. It's like a lot of people that I talk to on this, like you're literally dealing with people's finances. Like that's a that's a trust. Um,
Yeah.
that is a trust, and it's something that I know, was important for us as we made the move to be able to um, have that personal relationship where I can make a text, like send a text at 6 o'clock on a Saturday. The answer might be
Right.
coming like right now, but I know that you're aware of it, you're on it, things are moving, and the pieces are in place to, yeah, it's that financial part is like another element because as we know through the course of time, money can make people do crazy things. And if there's not a trust built around that, it's not a good situation.
If somebody's texting me on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning, it's because they're worried about something. there's something concerning them. There's something that kept them up that night.
Yep.
So there's a reason that they're texting. It's not because they want to rate.
Yep.
It's because they're worried about something. There's something going on in the economy. There's something going on the news, and they're all of a sudden they're worried, and they just want to hear me say, "I'm going to take care of this on Monday for you. We're going to get to that on Monday. I'm going to set you up to whatever it is." They just want an answer. They want to know we're here. They want to know we're going to take care of this for them. That's all they want, and we're going to do that for people because we're their banker. We're their person.
It's actually one of the funniest things that happens with DSM, because when you're talking about that relationship, whenever we bring on a new client, my wife gets a kick out of it because she's like, I don't know why you do this. But every client has my cell phone 24/7, and we say it. And that's something that, mostly, clients are all respectful. They never,
Yes.
hardly ever use it. But the fact that it's there and the fact that they know that, I think, is very important to the beginnings of trust and the beginnings of an understanding. I call it like an understanding. Um, one of the best, one of the best and one of the worst pieces of advice I ever got when I started DSM. This was probably year 1 or 2. It was one of our newer clients, not a big client. And this guy, he said to me, "Darren, we had just won the account." He goes, "Darren, congratulations. You just won my piece of business. So guess what? Today is the first day you're going to be losing my piece of business." And there's always that back and forth when you say that sales part of it. And when you're in a service-based business, we hadn't done anything wrong, but now it becomes, what have you done for me lately?
Right.
And that like push and pull and that understanding, you need to differentiate yourself. And I think you do a wonderful job at that. And that's one of the reasons why I look up to you. I mean, when I say, you know, when you get older, you find that your acquaintances may increase, but your circle becomes smaller. And that's one of the things that I've really have had happen over the last 3 to 3.5 years, especially with COVID, but just in general. And there's only a handful of people that I really look up to, I really trust, and just the silliness, the fun, the hangouts we have, getting together later this week and being able to go to lunch and have a special group of people together. It means a lot more now than it did when I was younger, because I just felt like it was like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And now you appreciate the sort of circle, and you're not always thinking like what's next and trying to mentor others and be like, no, it's not always about what's next. That's still important, right, but it's not everything. With regards, I'm looking at the pictures in the background. So you knew we were going there with the doggos. Tell us about the doggos. How are the doggos doing today?
The doggos are fine. I have 2 senior guys now, and I was just battling to keep the Frenchie off the chair. She was trying to get up here. She always thinks calls are for her. Whenever there's talking on the computer, she thinks it's for her. She finally gave up and went in her bed. But yeah, they're great. I mean, I live for them. They're so much fun. They're like my 3 little children now that my girls are grown up. But yeah.
That maternal instinct, and those pictures are pretty good. One of the things that I admire about you as well is when you talk about your 2 daughters and how they're very different, and yet, like how they're raised and they're independent and strong. Like, how did that come to fruition with regards to raising, like, did it help you being in the industry that you were to help them to get to where they are, even though they're doing nothing with banking? How did that kind of translate to being a mom? Because I think, and I see it with Samantha, how being a wife and a mother and working in an industry that's predominantly male, I think has really shaped her to with our two daughters to raise them as like strong, independent. And I'm really starting to see it now with Olivia being 13, like she is strong and independent. Um, but having a mind of their own, like how did that translate to leading your two girls into the fields that they're in and how well they're doing in both personally and professionally?
Well, it's I'm not saying it's right for every mom. For me, I had a choice to stay home or work, but I had worked a long time and I enjoyed what I did, and I still enjoy what I do. And I wanted to work. Of course, I had to, there were times I had to be part time and, not work a full schedule. But I thought it was an important example to do it all. You can still have a career, you can still have a well organized home, you can make healthy meals and raise your children. Things that were right for our family. I also wasn't one of those moms that thought my children should be in a sport every single day of the week. You could have a couple days of that, but there's home time. We're going to watch a movie tonight. Family time was important to me. Eating together every day with my children. My husband worked in the city; he couldn't have dinner with us, but it was important that we all be together and do things together as a family. Today we're baking today. So keeping them close, but showing them a good example of you can do it all if you want to. It's not always easy. It takes organization and preparation, but you can do it. And I wanted them to have that example that, yeah, I don't have to work, but I want to work. I want to have a career. This is part of who I am.
Yep.
And I think they saw that. And I definitely feel like they respect the person that I am. And, we enjoy each other's company a lot. And then one of them's getting married now, and she's organized. She's planning her wedding. Everybody says, "Oh, well, are you planning the wedding because you do events?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but she's all over it. She's on top of it. You know, the apples don't fall far from the tree. You
Yeah.
know." So yeah, it's wonderful. They're great. I love them. They're wonderful.
It's yeah, it's something that for me, especially with Samantha and the way she's the same way, and she works very hard, but is home for dinner, meals, the same thing, and it's something that you know it's funny the way the dichotomy of our family is because it primarily runs where Samantha's with the girls a lot, and I just happen to be with Luca a lot because of coaching football or basketball or lacrosse or whatever he's doing. It just we gravitate towards kind of
Yeah,
things. Um, but I see it where she'll come home and she'll be home by 5:30, 6 o'clock. She'll cook dinner, or we'll cook dinner together. Or now Olivia's beginning to be able to, if she has to come home after 6 or whatever, Olivia will start dinner in between all the activities. And I just think that's so tremendous, like keeping
yeah,
family together like that, because you see the other side of it and you see where it, sometimes it just feels like, especially with Luca, some of his buddies, like the parents drop them off and then like they're gone. And like after practice, after a 2 hour practice, they're sitting there and you're like, do you need a ride home? And they're like, no, my parents are coming. Like,
yeah,
it's a different dynamic that I'm not used to. And so
yeah.
to your point about doing that, it's tremendous. Um, with regards to what's next, I mean, you just said it, like you still love what you're doing. Like what what
Yeah.
what is it that keeps you going? Like you just said it, like you don't have to work, you've had flexibility. Like why do you keep on doing this? Like what's the burning desire for you to be able to do it other than having lunch with, of course, with Gary, me, and
That's it. Lunch on Friday.
yeah. But no,
No,
but it's special. It really is to be able to do that and to be able to have the flexibility for everybody on here. We made it a point. We try to get together at least once a quarter. Myself and MaryLynne and two other of our friends. but we're doing a special one into the city. We're going to go see the tree, walk around a little bit, have lunch at, one of my favorite places. And that's a special thing. Do those relationships and do those experiences, is that what like keeps you wanting to do this?
Absolutely. And when I came to Connect One, I came here to build an ambassador board with 25 people. So now, 5 years later, we're getting closer to 60. This year, my goal is to bring that to 75. And I've also taken on a couple other jobs at the bank. I manage our approved attorneys, which we have 70 approved attorney firms, and I work to, build all those relationships and manage those firms, and I've helped to grow them.
Wait a minute. When
And
you started this program, it was supposed to be 25 people and now it's 60 and you're pushing for 75?
yeah,
Wow.
so and I really enjoy growing the relationships, building the relationships, um, helping people reach the goal. This year, I think maybe 5 ambassadors are going to win the grand prize. That's,
Uh,
phenomenal. I mean, it's phenomenal. And, getting them to that, some people are like right on the edge. So getting them to over that edge, um, it's very rewarding to see people succeed like that. It's rewarding to see our approved attorneys relationships grow and see them, as the bank grows, more loans happen, more deals come in, more work for the attorney. It's very rewarding to see those firms flourish, the relationships. And it's a cycle. Some of the firms we had in the beginning, are some of those people are retiring, so newer, bigger firms are coming in. It's all a cycle. It's very rewarding, and I enjoy it. I love seeing our company grow and all the new people coming in, young people, younger women, seeing them grow with the company. Trying to mentor people, maybe somebody who will take my place someday. It's exciting. I work for Kirsten. She's amazing. You've met her many times. It's That's what keeps me going. It's good. It's very, very good. I work with a great team of people, and the branches that I visit are very good. Um, I can't. I have nothing to not stay here for. Everything is good. And of course the lunch is on top of that. That's just a little cherry on top.
shout out to the folks at Connect One Bank. And I can't say this enough. I know I've told it to you many times. You're probably like, dude, I know already. But it's a reason why DSM is where it is today. If we hadn't have made the switch that we did in 2019, I mean, the company, and granted, Charlene and Zinka have done a wonderful job with everything that they do. But every time Charlene needs something, it's like, how many people can step up to help? Like, there's never like Charlene has a lot, like I like to say, Charlene has a lot of ass aches in her life, me being at the top of the list. Like Connect One, every step and every question and every request and everything we've ever needed, it's right there. And it's a testament to you guys, how you do your business, how you put the relationship first. That's the great tie-in. I think that's where you really accentuate the spirit of the bank, in how you handle your business and how you handle your relationships. So um, I told you this wasn't going to be that hard. This is what it was all we were going to do was
Good.
talk about you and say thank you. So that's it. I want to say thank you for coming on today. I'll give you the last word on the podcast today on homage. But MaryLynne, keep being awesome. That's all I have to say. Thank you, and an homage to you for your friendship, for the dedication that you've shown to not only me but to our company, and thank you for being you. So the last word is yours. and I can't wait for Friday.
Me too. But I want to thank you because not only are you a wonderful friend, you've always been a wonderful friend. You've been a great ambassador to the bank. You have referred us so many new ambassadors, and I can't thank you enough for that because, some people refer a client, some people refer an account, which you've also done, and you're a wonderful client. We're so happy to have you with us. And we're glad that everything went through and it runs smoothly for you. But the fact that you always bring me new ambassadors, that's amazing. Not everybody does that. There are very few people who bring new ambassadors to the program. And I really want to thank you for that. It's huge. It really means a lot to me. And I know the bank appreciates that, but I really appreciate that because they're always good quality people. They're your friends. And that's what it's all about. This is the friend circle.
Here we go. You're just up in the ante for 2023. Got to do better. Got to do better. Got to do more. Got to keep going.
We'll get it done. We'll get it done. And again, I look forward to Friday. I can't wait. We're gonna have a great day. Let's hope it's a nice, beautiful day like today. No rain.
I heard I think it's going to be nice. I think it's going to rain tomorrow and Wednesday, and then I think it's supposed to be nice and then nice through the weekend. So
perfect. Great.
But thank you very much. Love you. Thank you for all that you do, all that you mean. This homage is now closed. Number 27 is in the books. MaryLynne, Andreula, thank you so much. And I will see you on Friday.
Thank you.